So what you're going to do is look at my pen right here, okay? And with your eyes and your eyes only, you're going to follow that. Don't move your head. Do you understand?
You got it.
Perfect.
You may be wondering why in field sobriety tests, officers typically check your eyes and your eye movement, usually with a flashlight. You know why? Yes, they're checking for neurological signs of impairment. Alcohol or other substances affect the brain's ability to control smooth eye movements. When intoxicated, the eyes jerk involuntarily when tracking a moving object. Basically, they're looking for physical signs that your brain's motor control is off, which is hard to fake or control consciously.
Left,
To what?
just like I explained and demonstrated. Remember to return your hand back to your side. I'm not going to keep reminding you.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, do you know why they do those other types of physical tests, like moving your hand to your nose and balancing on one foot? Those tests are tapping into coordination and motor control, which rely on the cerebellum and other brain regions. This is the cerebellum. That just fell off. Alcohol or drugs disrupt the smooth automatic coordination between your brain and your muscles. When you try to do something like touch your nose with your eyes closed, it requires fine spatial awareness and precise timing. Impairment makes you miss or wobble. Similarly, rapid hand movement or balancing on one foot involves complex pathways that get thrown off. So these tests you typically see done are intended to be practical snapshots of whether your brain's motor planning and execution are intact or impaired.
When I tell you to begin, you're going to turn your top hand over and count out loud 1. Then turn your hand back over and count out loud 2. Counting only when your hands make contact, like this. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, so one here,
So
2 here.
yes, sir. Only when your hands make contact. So 1, 2, 1,
That's 1.
2. Yes, sir. Okay. You're going to repeat this. Speed up as you go and do not stop until told.
Okay.
Make sure you keep your hands and fingers parallel during each pat like this. It's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You understand?
Yep.
You have any questions? Alrighty, go ahead and begin.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Make sure you speed up as you go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
However, the problem is that these tests are often so impossible to pass, even a completely sober person will possibly fail them. In all of my time in this field, never have I ever seen an officer completely satisfied with the driver's performance in any of these field sobriety tests that they say, oh, well, you're perfectly okay now, go drive away. However, these tests seem to be done as evidence against you to self-incriminate, where they're used to show in a court case against you how impaired you actually are.
Do you understand the instructions? Okay, what were the instructions?
Not to sing the national anthem backwards.
Not to sing the national anthem backwards? Okay.
I've personally never seen it used to the driver's benefit. There's no way by doing these tests you're ever going to change the officer's mind from doing any kind of breathalyzer test, blood test, or possibly even urine test on you. They're still going to ask you to do that, even if you score 100% on all of these field sobriety tests, which, as we talked about, is basically set up for you to fail.
When I say begin, you must perform 4 tasks. Okay? Your first task is to count out loud from 1 to 4 while you move your fist in a step-like fashion, making contact between each fist. So it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? The second task is to memorize the position of your fist after you have counted to 4. Clap your hands 3 times and return your fist to the memorized position. So after you count 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to memorize the position of your fist and then clap 3 times. And then return to the memorized position. Your third task is to move your fist in a step-like fashion in reverse order, counting out loud from 5 to 8 and return your left fist to the center of your chest. So you're going to go 5, 6, 7, 8. Your fourth task is to open your hands with your palms down and place them on your lap. So after you complete the task, you're going to open your hands up and place them on your lap.
They're asking Tiger to do all these like weird tests, you know, all these weird patterns of movement. I could never do them. Completely sober, I can never do them.
All right, that'll work. I'm gonna have you hop out with me, okay?
The officer leads Galanakis into the front seat of his squad car.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
None.
What do you mean none?
I had nothing to drink.
Okay. Why would your eyes be watery and bloodshot?
You want to blow me real quick?
I don't want to blow you.
Officer Winters asks Galanakis to perform a series of field sobriety tests.
Can you see my finger clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then walking perfectly on a line, sometimes they'll have you do.
How many steps did I say to take?
Like 8 or 9?
I said 9. Why'd you take 14 and then 15?
I thought you were going to tell me when to turn.
I said to count your steps out loud.
Hop on 1 foot.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
During this, keep your arms down to your side. Why are you shaking so much?
It's freezing, man. Look at you got all these clothes on, and I got shorts on and it's raining. And you false accusing me, so of course I'm going to be a little nervous.
Saying the ABCs backwards? What? The test seems to be meant to make you fail so that they have to do the breathalyzer then.
You're showing some very strong signs of impairment.
Am I?
Officer Winters finally performs a breathalyzer test.
You ready?
Yep.
The zeros can be seen on the body camera video.
But here's the problem. If you pass the breathalyzer and then you failed the field sobriety because you didn't know your ABCs backwards and you couldn't hop on 1 foot because some people just can't do that, then they have probable cause to arrest you to do a blood test and maybe even a urine test.
During my field sobriety, it is indicative of impairment. So let's be honest.
I'm being honest.
You smoked some weed at your friend's house?
No.
You hit a pin?
Nope.
Okay. Why'd your field sobriety so poor?
Because since you failed the field sobriety test, they have probable cause that you are under the influence of something other than alcohol. Maybe some kind of drug, prescription drug. So they may arrest you to do a blood and urine test.
No weed. I don't smoke weed. I play college football. I told you that. We get tested every Friday.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Right now you're being placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated, okay?
I'm not intoxicated. Sir, I'm not intoxicated. I blew 0.
A drug recognition expert later determined Galanakis was not intoxicated at the time he was pulled over.
Everyone has to make their own decisions and their own choices, but I would never do any field sobriety test at all. Because it's too subjective. If I can't say my ABCs backwards and I can't hop on 1 foot sufficiently while also touching my nose and any kind of other acrobatics that the police officer wants me to do, including walking on a line and then jumping every so often with 1 foot, they'll take me into the police station because I failed the field sobriety test and they think I'm still impaired, so they want to do a blood and urine test because they're thinking maybe it's something drug related. And then, of course, all those tests, those blood and urine tests, come back negative. However, since according to them, I failed their field sobriety test, they theoretically can still charge me with impaired driving. If you want to do a breathalyzer, I'll do a breathalyzer. If you want to do urine, blood, if you want to go that far, fine, I'll do that. I'll exonerate myself there. But I am not going to play your games of jumping on 1 foot and for you to have that against me and then me agreeing to do that, meaning that I just incriminated myself for something that I didn't even do. I'm not, of course, telling anyone how to get out of anything, just saying the fact that if you're stopped under the influence, you're not going to get out of it by doing a field sobriety test and satisfying the officer with just that. Instead, it appears you'll just be incriminating yourself by doing a field sobriety test and having that on camera. In other words, don't drive impaired, because if you get caught, you're not going to get out of it. So don't think you can get out of it by just doing a field sobriety test, because you'll likely never satisfy any officer by just passing a field sobriety test, even if you can pass a field sobriety test.
Go ahead and begin. Alright. You're all done?
And then, of course, at least partially because Tiger Woods couldn't pass their field sobriety test, which was, I would say, nearly impossible for anyone to pass in the first place, they arrested Tiger Woods.
Okay, go ahead and stand up for me.
And notice here at this moment, Tiger Woods thought putting his hands behind his back was just part of the field sobriety test.
Face my card. Okay, go ahead and place your hands behind your back. Place them behind your back. There you go. So at this time, I do believe your normal faculties are impaired, okay? And you're under the unknown substance, okay? So at this time, you're under arrest for DUI. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's because Tiger Woods thought he built enough goodwill with the officers, and the officers were such good fans of his that they would never arrest Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods had 2 hydrocodone pills in his pocket when he was arrested for driving under the influence. According to a newly released affidavit, the opioid is used to treat severe pain. New documents also revealing more details about the star golfer's alleged condition Friday afternoon. His eyes were bloodshot and glassy, his pupils extremely dilated, his movement described as lethargic and slow, and his speech thick-tongued, according to the documents, which also say Woods had the hiccups and was sweating profusely, even while seated in a vehicle with cool air flowing. But the arresting officer also writes Woods was extremely alert and talkative.
Tiger Woods posted a statement on Twitter days later. It reads, "I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I am stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health."
Now in the comments, why do you think Tiger Woods is just such a terrible driver? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. Do you think you can pass that test sober? I don't think I can. See you next time.